Hey everybody, welcome to lesson 10. This week we are continuing again with the persuasive essay. This is the last week that you'll be working on that, so you'll need to be sure that you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, etc., etc., that you've had a chance to revise and edit and proofread your document so that when you get it submitted for the final draft, it's in kind of a good finishing place. Really, when we're writing, the writing is never finished. You could revise and revise and edit forever, but there comes a point when you've got to just say, well, enough's enough, it's done for now, and then just send it on its way. So I hope that things are going well with your persuasive essays. This week you've got some grammar lessons per usual to help out with that. You'll talk about in practice using parallel structure, which is a good technique to really get readers invested in what you're writing, and it's a way to help improve the logic and the flow of your argument, etc. So it's a good narrative technique and also a vital grammatical technique. So you'll talk about that and do some writing lessons, one on plagiarism, something very important to keep in mind, that when that you use other people's language, their thoughts responsibly, and that you point to them and give them credit where credit is due, and that you just are building responsibly upon what others have said about a certain topic. So that's something vital to keep in mind. Also a video about proofreading, and you'll look at some you can read about APA documentation style and MLA documentation style on the online writing lab at Purdue. Really excellent resource. I turn to this often myself, and I refer students to it frequently. So really good things there in terms of both APA and MLA formatting. So just some important things to keep in mind there. Now, outside of your regularly scheduled programming, the writing assignments, etc., which your persuasive essay is due by week's end, so be sure that that's in place. Your reading assignment for the week consists of 2 essays. One that appeared in the Wall Street Journal, written by a songwriter, an artist, an interesting take on the editing and the revision process. And a lot really of what he has to say is about revision, which is one part of the editing process. I know sometimes when new writers think of editing, they think of the proofreading, you think of getting the punctuation right, etc., etc. But there are really, I think I talked about this last week, there are two approaches to editing. One is on a more global scale, where you look at the organization, the structure, how the argument flows, how the narrative flows, so that you make sure that things are where they should be and that it's all flowing together well. And then the second stage is where you get into the proofreading, the real nitty-gritty, where you're looking at the commas and the spelling, punctuation, etc., etc. So important to keep those two things in mind once again. The second is a speech, sermon. Really, we're calling it an essay by David A. Bednar that was delivered at BYU, Idaho, May 3rd, 2009. Things as They Really Are. We'll be looking at both of these things in the discussion board this week, where you'll choose from 3 different questions. You can pick one of those, and they'll ask you to look at the structure, as we've been doing throughout the semester, looking at the narrative, the rhetorical structure of these essays, and looking at them with the eye of a writer, so that you can look at what you can learn from that, what makes it effective, etc., or not effective, because sometimes you'll notice that some writing is not as effective as it could be, and that's a good place for you to learn from what other writers have done or not done well. Per usual, you'll look at as many posts as you can by your classmates, respond to at least 2 by week's end, trying to turn it into a conversation about these really interesting ideas. And that's what's on the docket for the week. If you've got questions about anything, please feel free to let me know. My inbox is always open.